Hello and welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show, and we are going to talk through this week in wrestling. As you know, we're a bit late this week, so technically this week is a loose term. It's last week. So yeah, you've probably already seen this week's Raw and this week's NXT, and hell, by the time this actually gets out there, this week's Dynamite. But still, we're going to talk about this week in wrestling, which is actually last week. And as
actually,
you know,
debating, should we just start calling it a week in wrestling, and then we'll just tell them what week it was
in time with Neil deGrasse Tyson. So yeah, I don't know. To be fair, I think it's still relevant. It's just that it's one of them. We always have this trouble, don't we? We are a UK podcast.
It is not our day job.
It's not our day job.
The big channels get to respond. The big channels get to react the minute they watch it. They then start filming shit. That's nice and all, but we have day jobs, man.
Well, exactly. You've got your whole what cultures moving into new offices.
Are they?
Yeah. Really happy for them. I just wish them nothing but all the success. Kidding, of course. But yeah, this is us. This is our hobby and it's what we do. So if you listen to us, we apologise. It's a bit late, but yeah, life gets in the way. It was a bank holiday weekend. I was stone cold drunk for all the week. No, I'm kidding.
And if you don't listen to us, I'm really fucking mad that you're not going to wear this.
Well, yeah, exactly. So yeah, for the ones who are listening to us right now, you're gonna get what you're given. And whether it's late or not, you're listening anyway, so you fucking will, regardless. But yeah, we're going to breeze through this. So, my responsibility, I'm going to call it, it's not an honour, it's not a privilege, it's just, I've got to do it. It's to talk about Raw, and that's where we'll kick off this week's...
Let's talk about Raw, baby.
Let's talk about shit, baby. So the card for this week was...
Get myself ready for it.
I feel like that was
carry on. You carry on.
The way you're holding that whiskey right there, that is something straight out of Wayne's World. It's like, no, I would never use Glenmorangie.
All this talk is giving me a headache.
Why don't you take these? Anyway.
Oh, Wayne's World, what a classic.
Right, we'll actually get into the fucking show. Yeah, this is why
whiskey wrestling. This
is why it takes us till Wednesday, because we just chat shit all the time.
Yeah, we started filming on Monday.
Yeah, that's all the editing, the cuts and everything, just to edit this down. But yeah, the card for Raw, we saw Drew McIntyre team up with Braun Strowman to take on T-Bar and Mace, who won via countout. We had an episode of Miz TV with Elias and Jackson Riker. Okay, we had the New Day teaming up with Damian Priest to take on the team of Miz and Elias and Jackson Riker. We had Sonya Deville giving Charlotte the opportunity to apologise for her actions. Very noble. Sheamus once again doesn't have a match with Humberto. Like, they fight and stuff, but it's not a match. Okay, we get to see Cedric and Shelton take on a newly formed team of RK Bro. Yeah, so, with RK Bro picking up the win.
So we're officially done with The Fiend and Randy Orton.
Officially done.
It's going to end with Randy Orton taking the win and never having any comeuppance. Yeah,
done.
That's how we're going to do it. We're done with that now.
Just as all of Bray's feuds end. We had Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax, and Shayna Baszler. That's right, Rhea Ripley's full-on heel now, apparently, taking on the team of Asuka, Lana, and Naomi, with Rhea, Nia, and Shayna picking up the win. We had Alexa's Playground, where we heard from Alexa and Lily once again. We had a match with Charlotte taking on Mandy Rose, with Charlotte picking up the win. And the main event of the evening saw Drew McIntyre take on Braun Strowman. If Braun wins, he will be inserted into the title match at WrestleMania Backlash. And he won. So now we've got a triple threat. That was the card. Highlights. Fucking nothing, really. But, right, controversial, Anthony.
Nope.
Maybe you need to slap
I'm
me
reading your notes
on
now.
Both of these, right? Listen.
No.
Listen, right? I might need a bit of a slap in the face. Maybe the show was that bad, I'm clutching onto straws. But do I actually like RK Bro? I think I might, and I don't know why. It's not very me to like stuff like this.
I'll give you this, I'm not a particular fan, but I've seen people compare this to the Rock and Sock connection, so maybe you're getting a little bit nostalgic,
Oh no, don't say that, because that makes me hate them straight away. I don't know. I think last week I was fuming with the way it was all handled, where it was like, oh, the same stuff over and over again. He rides a scooter, he's stupid, I'm going to beat him up. And then obviously he got the win over Randy, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, maybe we can be a team. And it's like, but why? But at the same time, I'm like, they're pretty funny, and I like the dynamic, so I don't know.
The main thing, I don't mind them, and I don't mind the dynamic, and I don't mind, like, this is classic comedy, isn't it? Like, Randy's the straight man to Riddle's sort of goofball, right? They're the odd couple, essentially. But what bugs me is, like, they've literally jumped from Randy being, like, demented legend killer, let's set people on fire, tormented by the Fiend, and now it's like a buddy comedy. You know what I mean? I'm like,
time is a vacuum in WWE. Nothing ever lasts was just or makes sense.
No, I've got whiplash with how quick they fucking changed this. It's like, now we needed some time where, like, you didn't see Randy or something, so I can get that fucking taste out of my mouth of, like, how they dealt with that fucking storyline. And I moaned about it slightly before, but it's like, well, it's done apparently. Like, he set a man on fire.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we saw Bray. We didn't see Bray on Raw this week at all. So
we don't need to, do we? Because we got our new favorite fucking demented character now.
That's it. I mean, to be honest, I think the Fiend is done. I think we've just got Bray, like like that character, like fun time Bray.
I don't think so.
I do.
Why would you, like, redo his mask, redo his look, and all that just for, like, 30 seconds of a match with Randy Orton RKO'ing him?
You tell me.
The Fiend's got to come back at some point.
I mean, maybe he will at some point, but if
you just said he's done.
Yeah, for the foreseeable, he's not there.
You didn't say for the.
He's not inserted in anything. Alexa's going to go after the women. So if he does rock back up, then yeah, who knows when it's going to be? But he came back the previous week on Raw, and he was just his little Mr. Rogers character, and that was it. So
and it's like, it just bugs me. Like, the whole like, he's just letting everyone walk all over him. When did he become a fucking doormat?
We'll come on to this in Whiskey and Wrestling.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree. But Anthony, it gets worse. So, yeah. It gets worse. Bro. It gets worse. It really does. Charlotte was a highlight this week. And I know you never thought you would hear them words come out of my mouth. But they did.
I don't disagree here.
What? Okay. That makes me feel slightly better.
No, like, I'm not a fan of the way WWE put Charlotte in things, and they constantly, like, you want more Charlotte, don't you? Let's put Charlotte everywhere. Put her on all the shows. Let's have her on SmackDown, NXT, and Raw this week. Fuck it. Right, I don't like the way they do it, but she is better as a heel, and I think I can appreciate this. I can appreciate this week because they were trying to make her a face since she come back, and it did not work, and it shouldn't work because she's a smarmy heel. Even when she's being a face, she's a heel. So I'm glad that they seem to be, like, definitely going down the heel route, and they obviously they made that clear when she attacked the official last week. But I get why you like it. I do.
Yeah, I think it's what she needs to be, and she needs to be more like this on a consistent basis. So if she carries on, then yeah, I'm cool with it. I don't know what the whole Sonya involvement is, but yeah, let's see what plays out there. But yeah, she's a heel. It's what she should be.
I missed this. It's just something I've read since. But, like, apparently, like, they're maybe doing a bit of a story where Sonya's trying to get Adam's job. So she's trying to undermine Adam Pearce deliberately, and all it. Like, they have a feud going, I guess. So we're probably going to get an intergender match between.
So the job that no one knows what they do anyway. But yeah, okay.
So we're going to get, like, WrestleMania Backlash is going to be Sonya Deville versus Adam Pearce for control of the fucking shows or something. I don't know.
I mean, I would like to see Sonya beat the shit out of Adam Pearce. So yeah, I'll take that.
It's not a bad thing.
So they were my highlights in terms of the O'Shites, Anthony. Pretty much the rest of the show, but to keep it brief. So the opening, the whole Drew and Braun stuff that transpired, on paper it looked like it would be decent, but the execution was just terrible. So a weird, shitty count out finish, accidental clothesline of Braun, then him retaliating. It's like, why do you need to do this? Just have Braun. It's not going to hurt either of them if one of them just goes, you know what? No, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Like, it doesn't have to be all like, oh, it was an accident. It wasn't an accident. I'm getting rid of it. It's just, yeah, I've seen that done too many times, and this isn't.
Didn't we literally see it with Sheamus and McIntyre?
100%, like weeks ago. Yeah, so it's
how many misunderstandings do you need?
It's done. It's so done. A new low for me, Anthony, to be honest. The fucking tomato pelting. Right, Miss TV is never must-see TV. Let's be fucking honest, right? But this was just horrendous. Like, even this was like super low for them. It made no sense. It was awful. It was literally a filler segment. And did they get one or two funny camera angle shots of Johnny Morrison getting hit in the balls and Miz getting twatted right in the face? Absolutely. So lols, I'm sure it was a big success in their eyes, but it was fucking stupid. It was awful and it didn't make any sense. So yeah. Speaking of Adam Pearce and Sonya and Charlotte to a degree, so it's not all roses when it comes to Charlotte. Still, you'd be invested, wouldn't you, if you actually knew what their jobs were? Like I said, you mentioned, it seems like the way they're going with this is Sonya is going for Adam Pearce's job, and it's like that'd be cool. But what power have they even got anyway? They're not a general manager. They just rock up sometimes and get intimidated by others, and then go, "Well, nothing else is booked for the show. We'll put you in a match." Like, I don't know.
All Adam Pearce ever was the result of WWE going, we don't have authority figures anymore, when they made that big statement about not having authority figures anymore, and then realised it's fucking stupid because anyone can book whatever they want then. And you need someone sometimes. Sometimes you need someone to go, this is going to be a match. And that's why Adam Pearce suddenly exists. That's all he was ever there for.
Well, that's it.
So they can blame someone.
To be fair, again, yes, AEW fanboy, but everybody knows Tony Khan makes the matches. He's not on our screen every week as a big fucking authority figure, but he's just there making matches, and it makes sense. He's the one who books the show.
That's all you ever needed, to know that the matches were coming from somewhere. The suggestion that they weren't was stupid. The constant booking where it's like, oh, you've upset me at the beginning of the night, so we're going to main event the show, is fucking stupid. And it still happens now with authority figures. It still happens now. It's like, why are we meant to believe that you had nothing for the main event? It's stupid.
Yeah, it's awful.
Sorry, anyway.
Speaking of awful, Anthony, the lowest point of the whole show, the ring side slip and slide. Like, seriously? Why? Right? An accidental slip from a wet WrestleMania stage from Mandy, which has since been edited out of all WrestleMania repeats like it didn't happen, is a fucking main feature storyline of the flagship Monday Night Raw show. Like, okay, we're going to come down and throw some water on Shayna for some reason, right? What did that even do? Oh, okay, she's a bit wet now, sound, right? Then Nia comes running out of nowhere and fucking falls over, and it's so funny. Fuck off. Like, honestly, fuck off. I was fuming, honestly, watching this. I was like, what a fucking load of shit.
There's that there's must be at least one particular writer back there just pissing himself laughing at all this stuff.
It's probably Vince. It is probably Vince just going, isn't it funny when Nia Jax falls down? Some
fucker back there loved the Three Stooges back in the day, and is just like, yeah, let's have some pratfalls and goofy shit like
terrible.
This. Like honest to God.
How is this the longest running storyline on the show? Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel we need another soundbite. We need that soundbite from Friends, where Monica's like, the joke sucks, let it go. This is what we need right now.
Yeah, we need to add that.
It's funny. Wasn't funny the first time you did it. It's not funny now.
In hindsight, right, obviously, if you listen to the show, you know that we had the glorious penned in to be the highlight of the shows each week, right?
It's still there.
And we've never fucking used it, right? And that's not a slight on, SmackDown or AEW or NXT. I think we're just so drained from Raw that we just never think to put in anything else. So yeah, it's still got a place, but at the same time, we definitely need something which is just like even if it's just the Michael Scott thing from The Office, just God, no, please, no.
Oh yes, I think that'd be really good.
That would be wonderful, yeah. But still, horrendous TV. Alexa's Playground. Not a slight on Alexa. She's fantastic at what she does. Always is. This whole thing with Alexa and Lily is fucked. It doesn't work without the Fiend.
Whose idea this was to go, Alexa's the main best thing about the whole Fiend thing. It's like, no, the Fiend, the Firefly. I feel like they've just stole everything that Bray's put together and gone, well, it works with Alexa. Like, he must be sat there and creative. Like,
But
what the fuck happened there?
the thing is, though, what annoys me even more about it is it doesn't even make sense. Like, I know that none of it makes sense, but like, if you were trying to make sense of this storyline, why has Lily always existed and it's always been there and it's the childhood Teddy of like what? Why weren't you always like this then? You know, if it's always been
Yeah.
within you,
I thought
like
the Fiend did this. I thought you learned from the Fiend.
yeah. So
Like,
it's
now
like
you just
none of it makes
confused your
sense.
own law. Yeah.
They like fucking the edited Lily into all these family pictures and it's like, but why? It doesn't make any sense.
But why?
But why? That is the fucking sentence to sum up this show.
I don't like the title of either. Alexa's Playground just sounds too much like a weird website that you don't want to visit.
Yeah.
Or you do, Carl.
Well, I mean, we could talk about that in Whiskey and Wrestling, but there was a website, wasn't there? If you know, do you remember that website? Do you remember that website?
What website?
About the girl who actually we found out later on in life had a pig foot.
Was
remember
that
this?
true, or was that just a rumor?
That was true. Yeah.
We're digressing again.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I've not been sold on this since, like, basically she turned on the Fiend, because it just kind of didn't make sense, and they've not even made something of that either. It's just kind of, that happened. We're cool now. I'm by myself now.
Yeah.
Is this them doing women's empowerment?
I don't know.
She don't need no man.
They don't know what they're doing.
I don't know.
And then the main event of the evening was obviously more Drew and Braun, and fuck off. Like, why have we got Braun in there now? Why? Just tell me why. It just doesn't make any sense.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a shit show. Mate, I'm fuming. Honestly, it just fucking Lashley, as good, as he has been and all that good stuff. Drew should be the champion still, and they shit the bed. They tried to make a new star.
Just like your opinion.
Fuck you. But then to add fucking Braun into it, right? I don't even know what's going to happen, right? And I know that's probably meant to be a good thing, but it isn't. Because are they going to put Braun in to take the pin, or I don't get it. But either way, I can't see Drew winning this now, and I don't
think Drew's gonna. I think, I'll be honest, if they do, and you won't like this opinion, but if they do anything other than keep the belt on Lashley, I'm not going to be happy. I'll tell you that now. Because Lashley needs to have a run with the belt now. They've done it. They've pulled the trigger. Let it go.
But why does he?
Because
it's my question. Because he's been
the
shit
almighty
since he's had it.
You got to give him a chance to run.
He's fucking staggering at best. I don't know.
The tools are there. They just need to work with it, and I think you need to give him more time. He's the champ now. MVP could be his mouthpiece. It's all going to work well if they give it.
Which would be fine if he was his mouthpiece. It's when Lashley gets on the microphone and it's like, and it's like, so yeah.
No,
anyway.
they need to find the feet with it, and I think it could be a good run. The MVP's no Heyman and he's no Roman, but the tools are there, and let it go, Carl. McIntyre's not got the belt, and he's not gonna have it for a while.
Fuming.
And let's be honest, like, it's WWE. We could be sitting here in a couple of weeks' time going, I can't believe Braun's got the fucking belt again. What the fuck was that? Just never know.
You never know with this fucking company, but yeah.
Out of the three, I wouldn't pick you. No offense.
Yeah. But that was Raw. 3 hours, condensed as best as we could. And in terms of a rating, 0.5. Terrible show. Waste of time.
Can't disagree. Gonna give it a 0.5 as well.
Good man.
Cool. Let's rock on then. NXT. Talk about NXT, Carl.
Talk about it.
Okay, so we had a match between Mercedes Martinez and Dakota Kai, which ended in a no contest. Fair enough. These things happen. Oh, God. We had a bit of a backstage promo, and it needs to be mentioned. It might not have even made the list normally, but we got to see the $1 Million Man. And, why not?
Yeah, we did.
Fucking ace. And we'll talk about that more, because he's also a highlight. I'm just going to tell you that now. We had the return of Tim Thatcher coming back with Tommaso to have basically a brawl with the Grizzled Young Vets. We weren't actually a match, but we got some shit happening. We then had an actual match with Tony Storm and Zadea Ramir, if I'm pronouncing that right. And we saw, actually, Ramir take the win But thanks to Zoe Stark, because you might think that's a little bit odd. Tony Storm didn't take the win over a young, like an up and coming talent, but there was shenanigans involved, so we got that. We then saw Bronson Reed going up against Austin Theory in a North American title, no number one contender match thing, with Bronson Reed taking the win. We then saw Killian Dane and Drake Maverick go up against Imperium, with Imperium taking the win. We then had, again, like shenanigans, but Moon and Blackheart were taking on Aaliyah and Jessie Kamea, which was a no contest because it never kind of happened. But we'll explain that a little bit more. We then had an Adam Cole interview, because this is the first time we spoke to him since he had a match with Kyle O'Reilly. Did you know he had a match with Kyle O'Reilly? People really loved the match he had with Kyle O'Reilly.
Mentioned,
it was awesome, apparently.
To some.
Sure. And then we saw, and I love the tag team name, MS Kushida going up against Legado del Fantasma in a 3-on-3 match to close the night out, with Legado del Fantasma taking the win. So, Carl, highlights, bit of a weird one. Got one highlight, but it's a massive compliment. In that, I think this was a really good week in general. It was really well paced. The segments worked, and were very complimentary to the matches themselves. And although there were a few, I'm not normally a fan of shenanigans, but they all kind of had a place and made a little bit of sense. The only thing I would say is the way they executed the women's tag match might have been a little bit of a damp squib in a lot of senses, but it's heading somewhere that makes sense. In fact, we already know where that headed, but we don't officially on this, not on this show.
Interesting where it headed as well, but yeah.
But yeah, even that kind of had a point. As much as basically, obviously, the match never happened thanks to The Way, thanks to Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell.
No way.
So yeah, all in all, I think it was actually a really well paced and really well executed NXT this week, and I don't often say that about them as much as people fucking love NXT. I've always kind of had some reservations over storytelling, but there was a fucking ton of storytelling here this week, man. Other highlights. Sorry, I did say I only had one, but the other highlights, got to mention one of the few times that I enjoyed Cameron Grimes this week, because he was fawning over his new massively expensive watch, and who should put him in his place? The $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. Fucking loved it. Stupid little segment, but I love seeing the man. Why not?
I absolutely popped for $1 million man, but Cameron Grimes, man, he's too over the top. I'm still not.
He's not sold on him. They totally changed his gimmick with this whole "I've made money off fucking what was it, GameStop stock or whatever," and now he's like rich, which is ridiculous. But
like, I know you always take the piss out of me about, like, when I say being big isn't being funny. And he's too big with what he does. It's too over the top in his reactions, and it just
I think that's a really good explanation, because if I had to put my finger on why I don't like him, it probably is that, like, when you look at his whole match he had with Loomis in that haunted house, whatever the fuck they did, the whole thing was just him mugging for the camera, and you're totally right. He was being too much for you to be able to enjoy the whole thing. And it's like, I want to say Chris Farley was quite funny. I was going to say, like, it's like Chris Farley, like, being really big rather than funny. But to be honest, Chris Farley was actually quite funny.
Chris Farley was a legend. But
yeah,
I don't know. I can't really make a comparison. I just think that less time looking at the camera with like facial expressions and more time just actually.
It's like someone's gone to him, emote, and he's just took that and ran with it like fuck. But no, I've got to give it a highlight, because it's just what a great place to put Ted DiBiase as well. It was good.
Yeah.
Just a nice little
brilliant.
pop.
It's not $1 million watch. Fantastic.
Oh, he's a legend. And then as far as O'Shea's, Carl, I've actually only got one, and it's the Loomis stuff. Now, I might be missing something here, and maybe we can talk about it more on Whiskey and Wrestling, but like,
it's like the flowers and stuff.
No, WWE essentially booking a storyline where, if you're a creepy bastard and you're persistent enough, you'll get the girl. Because I feel like that's the storyline they're telling, accidentally. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because he's like, I'm gonna turn up and I'm gonna like be wherever you are in a creepy manner, and eventually you're gonna be won over by me. Is that really the message we want to send to creepy motherfuckers?
I mean, based on the amount of creepy motherfuckers in the real world that have, come to light over the last year or two, probably not. No.
Yeah. I feel like just because of the nature of his character, it's a bit of an odd storyline to put him in a romance angle because it doesn't feel romantic. It feels like he's a creepy stalker. And obviously, they're booking it so that Indy's into it, but even so, it feels weird, man. I don't
Yeah, it
know.
does.
The storyline's not sitting well with me, and I don't know. We'll see where it
Yeah.
goes.
I also want to give
Raw.
a shout out to
Oh, sorry.
what's his name from
Shout away.
fucking Shut Up, Hugh. I'm trying to think of his name. Grizzled young vets guy, Zach Gibson, Scout
Oh
fella.
yeah, the scout one.
I just love the fact that he was able to just call people knobheads on the show. I just thought it was just a small thing, but yeah, I pop for that. Just like he just appeared in knobheads. I was like,
It
yeah,
indeed does. Indeed
it did,
does.
it
Yeah.
did.
And it's sorry. Before I close off, I'll mention I'm not like. Do I give a fuck about like? I like Adam Cole. This isn't a slight on Adam Cole, but did we need to interview him after the other match with Kyle O'Reilly to see how he feels? Did
Yeah,
anyone care how he feels? Like, oh, it's the first time let's have an interview with him because it's the first time anyone spoke to him since the match. Like, he lost a match. It's wrestling. Why is this a thing?
yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll let you give your rating before I talk about it because I don't want to influence.
That's fine. I'm gonna give it. Do you know what? I'm gonna give it a 3 because this is the best NXT I've had in a while, and I wanna
Okay.
recognize that.
Fair. So I had 2.5. And I think there was definitely some good stuff that happened throughout the whole show. So I think, I don't like Tim Thatcher coming back and teaming with Ciampa. I just don't get that. I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
they've had a couple of wars together, but like I don't want to see them as a tag team. If I'm honest,
I think they just
so
haven't got any direction for either of them, so they're putting them together as a tag team. Classic WWE, actually.
Exactly.
They might as well be on the main roster the way they're doing that. It's like, well, we've got nothing for you. Do you want to team together?
Yeah. So that I wasn't a fan of. And like I don't know, like the rest of it just felt it was it was good, but I don't know. I can't put my finger on what it is. It's just missing something for me. So yeah, it was a decent episode, but it wasn't. I don't know. I can't give it a 3. It gets 2.5.
No, it's fine. I mean, for me, I have to give it a 3 because, like, this is the first time I've seen like stories being told properly for me. Like, I know a lot of people love NXT, and there have been some fantastic matches, and there's some fantastic talent there, and I would argue they've got the best women's division throughout WWE at the minute, especially the way they're executing everything. But I've always felt the stories were quite lacking. But in this, it's like everything was kind of leading somewhere, like the MSK and Legado del Fantasma, like essentially they want the tag belts and he wants his cruiserweight title back. All that kind of makes sense that they're going into a feud. You've got as much as you don't like Ciampa and Thatcher, it like that kind of makes sense that they're going up against the Grizzled Young Vets because that was kind of what was being set up before the whole injury thing. Mercedes Martinez becoming essentially the contender for Raquel Gonzalez's title makes a lot of fucking sense. Everything was just kind of working as far as story goes, especially the way surprisingly the Gargano stuff's going. Like, and I'll have some reservations over that next week. We'll talk about that. But like the whole plan, like let's put Austin Theory in a match with Bronson Reed, and obviously they really wanted Theory to take the win, and Reed sort of defied them again. All really good, and all like it's better storytelling than I've seen in a while. As much as like people love like the Kyle O'Reilly stuff, and I don't know why. If I'm honest, it goes right over my head that. And it was I don't even really class it as storytelling. It's like, oh, the Undisputed Era broke up. Let's pick one of them to fight with Adam Cole. And it's like, that's not a story, really, but okay. Yeah. So for me, I've really got to commend them because I'm actually getting invested in what's going on.
Okay, that's fair. I will give you that. Still a 2.5 from me.
Whatever.
So, can't even say the Superior Show anymore on a Wednesday. Just the show on a Wednesday. It's always better anyway. Dynamite, we had a card of Hangman Page taking on Brian Cage. All the rhymes.
The
With
Page
Brian
versus
Cage. Brian Cage picked up the win, Anthony, and snapped Hangman Page's undefeated streak. So, yeah, big surprise.
He really turned a page.
We had the Young Bucks taking on the Seidel brothers, with Young Bucks picking up the win. We had Orange Cassidy taking on Penta El Miedo. I have not put a winner. I'm pretty sure it was Cassidy. Maybe. We had the Blood and Guts parlay. which was entertaining, really entertaining.
Right.
We had what was supposed to be Eddie Kingston taking on Michael Nakazawa, but ended up in Kenny Omega being somewhat outsmarted, which was just hilarious. Chris Statlander took on Penelope Ford, with Statlander picking up the win. Nice to see the women get some, especially the likes of Penelope Ford and Statlander, get some
I know,
well-earned
like
time.
Statlander, obviously, she's been out on injury for a while, but she had quite a prominent role in AEW for me. Penelope
Yeah.
Ford is someone who I don't know why it's the case, but she doesn't wrestle a lot,
Baffles me,
and
honestly,
she's
really
really
does.
good. So
I
she
know.
needs to be in the ring more, really.
Yeah, agreed. And obviously it was a good showing from them. So, yeah, Statlander picked up the win in what was a really good match. You had the Nightmare Family taking on the Factory, with the Factory picking up the win. Miro and Kip finally meet up again. And consequences. And the main event of the evening saw Darby Allin take on the Dark Order's number 10, Preston Vance, with Darby Allin retaining his belt. So,
Of course he did.
highlights. Quite a few of them. So the opening match, do you know what? I had to debate whether this was a good thing or not, because part of me was sad to see Hangman take a loss here, based on how much he's been built up and stuff. But I mentioned last week, I don't think we're going to see, like, the thing we all want to see is Omega and Hangman Page. That's the fucking money. That is the story that's been built up for so long, and we all want to see them face off with each other. But I've always said I don't think it's going to happen at Double or Nothing. I think it's going to be held for All Out or even later. So this probably makes sense in the fact that I imagine this will harm Hangman in the rankings, and therefore we might get another contender for Omega when it comes up to Double or Nothing. So yeah, I think it's the right call. As much as I didn't want to see Hangman lose the match, I think it makes sense, and hopefully it's still going to make that build to when we finally get Omega versus Hangman just that much sweeter. So definitely a highlight. The match itself was good. I was a bit unsure on the outcome, but now I've thought it over, I think it was the right choice. The blood and guts parlay, like, if you weren't hyped for this fucking match from the previous week, then my god, this has done the trick. Like, excellent promo work from everybody involved.
Savage, absolutely savage Guevara.
Amazing. So good. So fucking good. And I like the way as well that they all just kind of match up really nice. And it's a weird thing to think about, but like...
But they've obviously put some thought into it, though. Like, because like you say, they do match up really nice.
Well, that's it. We had obviously Wardlow and Hager for a while, but then even like Sammy and Sean Spears on paper, you'd think, really? But like, they do match up quite nicely. You know, they've got two fantastic tag teams, Jericho MJF, fantastic, adversaries, if you will. So yeah, I can't fucking wait to see this match.
I dare say, this is doing wonders for Spears.
Yeah.
It's made him so fucking relevant, and I hope he keeps this momentum after they're done.
It's insane that he spent the last year, playing with a little fucking glove, and all he needed to do was get involved with this.
Chairman for a while. Don't forget that.
And like, don't get me wrong, I think if it would have just been, they'd formed this faction like last year, it wouldn't have made sense. So it did make sense, and obviously he had to suffer for quite a while, but
even that's
him having Tully as his manager and stuff, yeah, exactly. It is long-term booking, I think, and people will just be like, oh, they didn't know what to do with him for a year, and then now they've made this knee-jerk reaction. I think whether it was executed well or not, I think the plan was always to do this. It might take. I think the original Blood and Guts was going to be, it was meant to be the Elite versus the Inner Circle, wasn't it? So there's been a lot of change that they've had to go through during the pandemic. So yeah, I honestly cannot wait to see this fucking match. Even the rules, has to be submission or giving up and quitting. Like, who's going to give up? Who's going to break? For me, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I want to see, and that's what is so good about it, because it would be horrendous for the Pinnacle to be the losers because they're this new faction. But then, the Inner Circle just come back, got revenge on these heels, and then if they're the ones who quit, it's going to harm them as well. So I'm really interested. I think my personal view, and obviously this is recorded before it's gone out, so if I'm right, don't need to be like, well, you recorded it on Wednesday. No, UK time.
UK time, bitches.
I honestly think Jericho might cement his face. You know, the
What?
fact he's a face by.
Oh,
He might cement his face. No, I think
he's
he
going for
might.
some surgery.
He might really try and get across the fact he's a face now by being the one who surrenders to save the team or something. You know what I mean? And like
Didn't he make
that
that
way.
clear about him coming out of the correct tunnel?
Well, yeah, but you know,
Uh,
it does piss me off. That, to be fair. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm super excited about it, and that's all you can want, isn't it? To really want to tune into a show. So hopefully it will deliver. As we've already said, so good to see Statlander back and finally seeing Ford used. Like it, I don't know. It got a decent amount of time for a women's match. Like it wasn't all commercial break. It did have a commercial break in it, but still we got a lot of TV time. So yeah, the finish was a bit shit. I'm not gonna lie. But it's a highlight for me because it's just so good to see more of the women's division, different faces, and people who we believe have got a rightful place in that division and a rightful place on TV. So yeah, that was really good. And then obviously subsequently followed up by Miro beating the shit out of Kip, which was wonderful. I enjoyed it. Apparently is breaking his arm by slamming it in the door, and then tells me he forgives him. So Miro, full on Miro. It's what we wanted to see. He's going after some gold, and Kip Sabian is now in his rearview mirror, and it was wonderful. The main event, again, also really good. I know you hate Derby. We know it already. But it is fucking good. His matches are always really good. And I do think the whole Derby's dad, fucking Sting thing is a little bit overdone now. Let's be honest. I said it last week when he was fighting with fucking Luchasaurus for no reason. But then he comes out this time and it's just a bit like, I don't get it. But it made sense because he needed to be there for Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky to beat them both down at the end, because apparently that's where they're going now with it. So, yeah, I don't know. You can shake your head all you want. The match was really good. Big props to Preston Vance, because obviously he is relatively green in the business and he put on a great show. I think he's got a real big future. He's got the size.
I think you've called that before, haven't you? But he, like you say, he's definitely got a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, defo. I hope, I'm keen to see more of his character work develop as well, but he's definitely got the size. His in-ring work is improving all the time as well. And as we know, I am a Bret Hart mark, so anytime I see a little homage to Bret Hart, it does warm my heart a little bit. So the little pin that he did, the little off the turnbuckle, rolling it back. So, gotta love that. So, that was pretty much all my highlights for the show. In terms of the O-Shites, just one really, and probably unsurprisingly, it was more Cody stuff, and it's mad. I want so much to like the man, I really do. But yeah, him now going in
at the minute, especially this program with QT,
hell,
it's not going to do anything.
I despise QT, so it's really not helping him. But I think, the match between the Nightmare Family and the Factory was fine. It made sense. It did a good job of making, Anthony Ogogo look really good. Obviously, the one-punch finishing man. I love all that. But Cody coming out and going after QT at the end and then fighting on top of the fucking bus, right? Someone put somewhere on Reddit or something, it was like, has he just got this bus to use it as a fucking tax write-off? Like, oh, well, it's used on the show, it's a prop. Like, really? What was the fucking point, right? But then what made it even more stupid is when fucking Aubrey climbs up there. Why?
Yeah,
it's not even a match.
A lot of people weren't happy with that at all.
I was fuming. Like, it was so stupid. There was no reason for her to be up there other than for, like, her to, like, for them to kind of get the visual across that, okay, if Cody and QT had a match, then QT will probably tap out. There's a referee there, and he's put the figure four on him. Blah blah blah. But it was awful. It was so stupid. It was fucking pathetic. So yeah, terrible segments. But in what was an all-around decent show, I thought. Not as good as previous weeks, if I'm honest. But that is only due to the fact that most of the matches were kind of just good and not great. All in all, similar to what you said about NXT, I feel like it was, a cohesive show. It all kind of landed, all kind of delivered. But,
yep.
There's one or two fantastic things in there. Hangman and Cage, the parlay, and the main event. But, yeah, the rest of it was just good. So it's getting a 3 for me. Another solid show. But, yeah, probably not as good as the previous weeks.
I'd probably land on a 3 as well. I think for a very similar reason to NXT, as you said. It was well put together, a lot of storylines building and heading in the right direction, all around an enjoyable show and really well paced.
Nice.
You
Which
got that
leads
right,
us on to the final show, Anthony.
Let's smack those down.
It's the final SmackDown.
So, we open SmackDown with Bianca Belair and the Street Profits and Ziggler and Rude and Bayley and anyone
Why
else.
can't she just be her own champion? Why is fucking Montez Ford got to be involved in everything?
Because Montez Ford is an attention-grabbing person, right? And it kind of I've mentioned this to you before, right? That it kind of reminds me of Will Smith, where it's the illusion of being supportive but drawing attention to themselves. Because like Will Smith's kind of done that. Like I know everyone's a fan of Will Smith. I'm a big fan of Will Smith. But you know, like when you see pictures of him and his missus, and he's doing like big gestures like this, like look at my wife, and it's like, but by doing that, you're making people look at you, Will, and you know exactly what you're doing. Montez kind of reminds me of that kind of guy. He's like, I'm gonna make a big deal of how much I love this woman. It's like, yeah, but we're all watching you like shake the ropes and act like a knob. So you're drawing attention to yourself, actually. Anyway, we then had a match, funnily enough, between the Street Profits, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Ziggler, and Rude. So they all had a nice little match with the Profits and Belair taking the win. We then saw Natalya and Tamina go up against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax in a non-title match, with Natalya and Tamina taking the win. Okay. We then saw Apollo go up against Big E for the title, with Big E taking the win, but it was in a disqualification, so no titles changed hands, so that was pointless. And then weirdly, quite a short card when you look at it, but there was a lot of build, a lot of story. We saw Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns go up against each other in a Daniel Bryan quits if he loses match, but nothing happens to Roman if he loses match, I think. Whatever they want to call that. With Roman Reigns taking the win, so that's Daniel Bryan gone. No longer can be on SmackDown because he doesn't like his face. So let's talk about the highlights, Carl. I have one highlight. The main event. The main fucking event, right? Let's start with the fact that Roman Reigns has got a new theme and it's fucking awesome, right?
Disagree. 100%.
No, it suits him so well.
100%. I thought I'd message you about this. It is basically fucking Seth Rollins' Messiah and Bayley's theme merged into one. A little gospel start. Like, what is it with these new fucking music people?
I will give you that, right? Def Rebel love that sort of gospel stuff for some fucking reason, right? But when you get past that little beginning bit, the tune is fucking awesome and it suits them. If they just cut that little shit at the beginning and it just goes straight into the actual tune, that'd be sound. And I know I'm giving it. I like his theme. I think it suits him really well. Whatever. Anyway, how can these two not put on a fantastic match together, though?
It was so good.
Let's be honest. Yeah. And I even love, like, let's I'll keep it quick and I'll just say the match itself was fucking ace and you need to watch the two of them. But let's just cut to the end. And obviously Reigns is looking to fucking basically end Cesaro, end Bryan's career, and who should make the save? Cesaro. And that makes sense because that's what we're going into next. Cesaro's going up against Roman Reigns. So the whole thing it worked really well. It progressed everything really well. You know, Bryan as a part and shot has now pushed Cesaro into the title scene with that whole thing of Cesaro making the save. And obviously we get, unfortunately, the inclusion of Jey Uso, which is probably the only, it's not even a bad thing. It's just like, we didn't really need him. Do you know what I mean? But it makes sense because he wants to even the odds. And I think everything for the main event just works so well that it's literally my only highlight. Not like it wasn't like a bad week for SmackDown, but you know, most of this night was the main event anyway. So it was fucking awesome.
I mean, it got what? Like, was it about a good half an hour, if not more? 40 minutes. I don't think it was 40 minutes.
That's why the card's so short, because they didn't even just have the match; they had some build up, like as to like what's going on and like Bryan's history and all this kind of stuff. It was really well executed, the whole thing. I was made over. So, shites, Carl. Of which there are more.
The rest of the card.
Yeah. The whole women's tag thing, like, it was pointed out, and like this isn't like just about this match. This match was mediocre at best, and it was okay, and kind of surprising that they gave the win to Natalya and Tamina, and it seems like, are they going to pull the trigger on Natalya and Tamina taking the belts? I don't know. It was a non-title match, but they won it. But it was pointed out on. I want to give credit to the person who pointed it out, and apologies because I can't. But one of the sort of bigger names in the wrestling news world pointed out that this is, in the last month, the 6th time we've seen some sort of iteration of these people fighting. 6 times in a month. Like, we're kind of sick of these 4. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even about the titles or anything at this point. It's like, you know, because I would like to sit here and go, it's nice to see Natalya getting the win and getting some sort of push in some sort of direction, because it is. But like, how many times are we going to see some sort of combination of these 4 and nothing actually happen? Like, they're going to have another match, quite obviously, for the titles, and hopefully the titles will change hands just so something fucking happens. But yeah, it doesn't sit well with me, the whole women's tag thing. So
I can't even see that, to be honest. Like, you know, Natalya and Tamina are probably the least viable threat. Like, I know they've just got to win, but really, if you think about on Raw, they've got fucking Mandy and Dana. They've got fucking, who else have they got? Like, as a threat to them, like, constantly. So it's a bit
I feel
like
they've invested too much time, and look at WrestleMania. Like, they really bigged up this whole Tamina and Nia Jax thing. I really honestly think they're going to pull the trigger in this direction.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I wasn't overly enamoured with the match itself or what's going on with that at the minute. Similarly, I'm doing this out of order for some reason, but the opening promo, like, not even like the promo itself was a bit lacking, but the promo was there to set up a match that was already booked.
Yep.
So why? Like, just go in, just have the match. Like, I don't understand. Like, they're trying to make out like it randomly happened, but like, we already knew it was happening, so it wasn't random. And I don't like, again, the less we get to see the Street Profits, the better for me. Like, they can be way too over the top at times, and it needs to be a bit more subtle. And I don't want this to hinder Bianca's run as champ. I think her going up against Bayley and taking a win against Bayley will help legitimize her, and hopefully they'll go into some sort of rematch with her and Sasha Banks at some point and further solidify that, if you know what I mean. And I think that'll be all we need, and I think that should be the direction we go. Because I wouldn't have minded a rematch, but obviously we're sleeping on that for a bit. So yeah, have the Bayley thing to help legitimize her as a true threat and a true champ. You know,
is it just me? I don't want to counter out or anything yet, you know, by any means. But is anyone else getting a bit tired of the whole EST stuff now already? Like, I don't feel like that's got legs at all. You know,
I've never liked the EST thing, if I'm honest.
I feel like it's the same. You can't do anything but the same cookie cutter promo, because it's, yeah, I am the strongest, I am the fastest, I am the, like, there's only so many ests. It's like, well, you come out and say the same thing every week, and it's like, And don't get me wrong, you know, Sasha comes out and goes, I'm the boss, and it's boss time, and yeah, we get it, it's cool to have catchphrases, but EST, it's a bit...
I think if she did it a little less and was just a bit more, and don't be wrong, she needs to do more on the mic. You know, I get she's coming up from NXT, so you know, she's not going to be as seasoned as the likes of Sasha and Bayley, and that. Bayley is sort of fantastic on the mic. As much as I genuinely didn't want to give her credit when she first turned heel, but she's really sort of settled into it now. Because I mentioned when she first turned heel, I mentioned to you that she just didn't sell being a heel very well because she was still just happy, smiley Bayley. But she's really settled into this obnoxious character that she is, and I'll give her credit for that. But my point being, she's gonna run rings around Bianca on the mic. No two ways about it. She's more comfortable with it, you know. So, you know, Bianca is gonna have to sort of rest on those catchphrases and those bits, but hopefully she'll get a bit more comfortable with it as we get on. What I don't like is the fact that they've gone, well, let's include the Street Profits because we're going to push them back to the titles. And I've not an issue with them going for the titles. I have an issue with them losing the titles in the first place to then be held by Ziggler and Rude for months to then go back to the Street Profits. It just shows you that they've not got anything for the tag scene, really. Like, let's just wait a while and then move them back. It's just, okay, cool. Thanks.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, I think trying to shoehorn that into the women's title scene actually just dampens everything down a little bit. As much as I didn't actually mind the 3-on-3 match, it's just, I don't know. We clearly know where everything's going with that. It was all just a bit paint by numbers, I suppose. My last one, Carl. Don't know how you feel about it because I've not asked you. Alistair's promo. Didn't mention it in the list, but he cut a promo again. And you know when you, like, for me, when you get behind the sort of the creepy tone he's going for, it's the same old shit, isn't it? Of, oh, I'm not going to do what the fans want me to do. It's like, well, yeah, because we want you to be entertaining, so you're clearly not. But I don't know. Like, I'm still not totally back with a new gimmick, and I hope maybe it goes somewhere good. But like, I still just can't. I'm not even like. I'm not liking these vignettes at the minute. I'm like, oh yeah, fucking piss and moan then, and I don't know. Just seems a bit more whiny than it probably should be for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole, Tales of the Dark Father, and it's a bit over the top, isn't it?
I think so.
He just needs to just come back. Like, people who love Aleister Black apparently love his in-ring ability more than anything else, which I'm not even a big fan of. So that
I've not got to see a lot of it.
Fair news.
I got to see him like lose his eye apparently, and then get upset with Kevin Owens, and then have half a match with him, and then fucking disappear for a while.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, where's this going? Because Kevin Owens wasn't really featured on the show, was he? So it's like, are we just gonna get Aleister Black and Kevin Owens put on SmackDown now?
Yeah, well, I'm not even sure where they're going with that, because obviously, like, it seems like they're doing something maybe with the IC title scene, like, because Sami Zayn was getting involved in that, so like Kevin Owens might be. I don't know. I honestly, everything's a bit of a mess in that sense, really.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have super high hopes for Aleister Black. I know a lot of people seem to love the character and think it's what was it, based off Far Cry or something.
Well, it seems to be the look of the character seems to be, but I don't know if they're out and out saying that.
Right. Well, yeah. So, for me, who doesn't play Far Cry, I just think it's a bit bland.
Far Cry is really good. Aleister isn't. Yeah. Well, Far Cry is. You should play that. Yeah. So for me, Carl, I'm probably going to give it. I'm a bit torn between a 2 and a 2.5, and this is purely based on the main event. And I'm like, can I give it a 2.5 for one match? Technically, I don't know. So I'm probably going to give it a 2. But you need to watch SmackDown for this main event.
Couldn't say it better myself. It gets a 2 solely for the main event. Everything else on the show you could have just skipped. It baffles me that for just 4 matches on the show, they still did such a fucking poor job with it. Like, they could have at least put, they had 3 other match slots to fill. They could have added another 1 in at least. But yeah, main event was awesome. Rest
it
of the
was
show
still infinitely better than Raw.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. Not hard there. So yeah, 2 for me as well.
Awesome. And that was This Week in Wrestling?
It was. And while we top up our whiskey and get ready for our final segment, you can listen to this noise.
You're watching or listening
to A to the K.
The A2theK.
A2theK. A2theK.
A2theK. These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.